with us, Jerry Usher, Debbie Georgiani, and the show team on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And it is Friday, Debbie. Boy, this week has just gone by very quickly, at least for me. I don't know how it's been for you. Same thing?
It's flown by. And we did have How Time Flies this week. That was one of our topics. Yeah.
Maybe that's why for you and probably me too, it seems like the year has gone by so fast because the weeks go by fast. See how that works?
It's so true. Hey, Jerry, can we go on Facebook later and just give some kind of updates to our Take Two family? What do you think?
Let's do it.
I think we should. Let's just pop in before the weekend.
The pilgrimage is really taking shape. People have already booked hotel rooms and probably gotten some flights and stuff or planning to drive over there to be with us. So we'll give you a little bit of a word on that here during the show. But Debbie and I will go live on Facebook maybe this afternoon, late afternoon or something like that, and just give you an update.
I like that. That would be great. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Jerry and Debbie, find us, like us, please, and then share it with 3 of your friends. That would really help us out to grow the family. But today, we've got a wonderful topic that people are already weighing in on and want advice from you. Remember, you are the teachers here. So we're talking about age gaps in relationships, okay? Like if your spouse is maybe, 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than you. If you're older than your spouse, how does that working out? If you see any problems? If you've had problems, maybe you could share how you got past those situations when people get older and the age gap seems even more further apart. And so we want to talk about every angle of having just a real difference in age when we're in relationships, and we're mainly talking about. It could actually be friendships too. I mean, if you have friends that are much older or younger, how does that shape the way you look at things? Do they have such a different perspective of life? Let's talk about it. Please fill the phone lines right now. We've got Charles Beery answering the calls. He is really great to talk to. And he's from New Jersey. I just love that. Okay, so the number is 1-833-288-3986. Start filling the phones now and talking about if you think it's a good thing there's age difference in relationships, or maybe it's not such a good thing.
Well, yeah, and this could be you. It could be someone you know. It could be a parent. I will say that my mother, when my parents divorced, she would have been about 44, and shortly after that, she remarried to a gentleman who was in his late 60s, and he died a few years later, actually, of lung cancer, which was very, very unfortunate. But there was also that age difference between the two of them, which obviously didn't bother either one of them. But, there are just a lot of things involved in this. Like, do you have the same interests? Is that what brought you together? Sometimes, not sometimes, probably all the time. If a couple both live to maturity, one of them is going to perhaps, obviously be deceased before the other one. And it could leave someone, taking care of someone in a very loving way, but at an age where they, about maybe in their 50s or 60s. So what is it about the somebody older or somebody younger that has attracted you? Because love takes all forms, and we want to celebrate that today on the program at 833-288-3986.
Okay, so Anne from Pennsylvania, one of our Take Two family members, sent us a wonderful email this morning. By the way, she signed it that she loves us. Anne, we love you. Just remember that. Okay, and she's asking for some advice from other women who have dealt with this situation. She is cultivating a friendship right now with somebody that is 14 years younger than she is. But he's very mature. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a great path for a career. And they seem to really connect well in a friendship. And she wants to discern pursuing this further. And, she's looking for advice and wisdom on this. Could it be a good thing? Would it turn out okay? I mean, she's 14 years older than this gentleman. So Anne is looking for some advice. Please help her out and call in and maybe answer some of her questions. Here's what her questions are. How do I discern whether to get involved with someone so much younger if he were to ask me out, or would I just say no and just focus on the Lord? Can you ask other women who have successful relationships like this one? So that's very interesting. So if you have a big age gap and you are the woman that's older than your spouse or your boyfriend or something of that nature, please weigh in on this because Anne is listening intently and wants your advice.
Okay, 833-288-EWTN. That'll get you on the program. 833-288-3986. You can also text your comments to EWTN at 55000. Might be a small data rate. You can get in through the website, social media. You can email us as well. So a lot of ways to join the conversation. And Debbie, I did. First of all, I wanted to say, and we all know this,
Sure.
I think a topic like this kind of brings to mind, remember the old stereotypical older, younger situation? You got the man who is, 60 and has kind of that graying ponytail and has the convertible sports car, and he's driving around with a 23-year-old blonde. That's
Steve
kind of
McQueen.
what. Yeah, and that's really not what we're talking about today. I don't think. We're just talking about people who are genuinely attracted to one another for not only their physical beauty, but for their depth, interior depth, their virtue, their holiness, their love of God, for example. So if you or someone you know is in a situation where there is an age gap of, say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years between spouses, let's have a conversation about it and see how that might be different from or similar to any other relationships of married people.
Yeah. I'm cracking up right now because our millennials that listen to the show are probably Googling Steve McQueen and going, who is Steve McQueen? He was an actor. But anyway, do you remember the whole scenario, Jerry, about like if someone goes through a midlife crisis, sometimes they shed their past life, and then they do get the sports car, they grow their hair long, they wear clothes that, like they're so youthful in appearance, and then they pick up a new boyfriend or girlfriend, and you know what? They're much younger. So that stereotype is there. I mean, it does happen. But now we're seeing everything, Jerry. We're seeing 20-year age gaps. We're seeing women being much older than men. We're seeing these relationships work. But are there problems with it? And women can have a midlife crisis too. That's why I meant you pick up a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's what I meant. But I don't want to just single out the men. Go ahead. Well,
you mentioned differences. Yeah, I mean, it could be, given the age gap, there could be very different interests or hobbies or things like that. So you have to kind of maybe die a little bit to yourself to come together and do the things that the older spouse wants or the younger spouse wants. There could be all kinds of ideological differences being raised in different, sort of different eras. We actually have some statistics that we posted on the Take2Show.com website from Wikipedia last night. It shows the majority, actually, of husbands and wives are within 1 year of each other. But it does show some data for those who are as much as 20 years older than the other. And we'll have that for you next year on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
I must tell you that from what I observe from very young people, all of these blasphemers, all of these mockers are in for a tough time, because the devil bites his own tail. And I find among young people a growing reverence and longing for God. I find a decline in the cynicism and skepticism around, because it had to destroy itself. No one can live on being an enemy of God. It's too crazy, it's too absurd, it's too dark, it's too bleak. God is beautiful, God is holy. Why in the world mock God?
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Post your intentions on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's website. To get there, just click on the bright yellow J&D logo at Take2Show.com. Jerry and Debbie personally reply to every prayer intention that's posted. Others will also offer you their prayer support. When there's something important you want prayers for, post it on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's site. Visit Take2Show.com, click on the J&D logo today.
so glad you joined us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about age gaps, primarily in marriage. Okay, so let's focus on that. So that's great. I just wanted to share real quickly that just to highlight a show this afternoon that I think you guys really would be interested in. Catholic Answers live tonight at 6 Eastern Time. Our own Morning Glories, Gloria Purvis, will be on the first hour. So Gloria Purvis will be the first hour from Morning Glory, and then Matt Swaim will be doing the second hour, the kids show. Jerry, I love that. I love the questions that kids ask. I mean, I learn. I mean, the kids are very, they're just very insightful. I mean, they just kind of zero in right at what they want to know. And they're like, I want the answer. And it's really interesting. So tonight, 6 Eastern Time, Catholic Answers Live. Check it out, folks.
Okay, to your phone calls about age gaps within marriage, 833-288-3986. How's that working for you? Hopefully very well. Let's go to Eli first in Michigan, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Eli. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Eli.
Hi,
Good to have
Eli.
you with us. What do you got for us?
I met my wife when I was about 22 years old. She wasn't my wife then. We were 19 years apart, which I didn't know that at the time because she looked really young. And then I was really attracted to her, and we started dating. It wasn't a very holy dating situation when we started, but eventually God led me back to the church and led her to the church. And then we ended up getting married in our church in St. Albert the Great. And we've had a really good time together. I think it's weird. It feels like 2 lifetimes that we've lived. Like we always talk about pre-church and after church, and now our relationship is much more fuller, I would say, than it was prior to us really coming in church and really believing. And the pro-life movement really led us to more and more in depth in our faith and doing more stuff in our parish, and bringing family members into the church from both sides, and really growing our faith together really helped our relationship grow and grow. And I don't treat her as much as an object anymore. She's more, as a person. Where before that, it was just a very objectified relationship. But with God's help, it has really become a more centered. I still have faults, and I still have to go to confession some days, but I try to focus on Jesus and on treating her the best possible way I can.
Wow. Eli, what a beautiful story. And a couple of things that came to my mind. One, they always say there's someone for everyone, and when I was at my nephew's wedding last Saturday, here I go again, but in the homily, the pastor said, two people, he said, Cody and Allie, you have not come together simply because of physical attraction or anything like that. He says, you've come together because God chose you for each other. So when we understand that God chooses us for one another, some distance age gap in marriage certainly is not an issue. It certainly isn't with God, because we look at Joseph and Mary, for example. Most scholars believe that Joseph was considerably older than Mary. Mary being about 14, Debbie, when she conceived Jesus in her womb, and Joseph certainly would have been. I don't know. I don't know what people say, but he would have to have been in his 30s or 40s or maybe even older. So, I think this is beautiful too, Debbie, the way they brought each other back to the church. This is just God is all over this.
Absolutely. Eli, I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the show, I shared about the email that came in from Anne from Pennsylvania, and this really would help her out because if I understood you and I heard you correctly, your wife is considerably older than you are, and it's working out beautifully. And I just wanted to share real quickly. Our friend Patricia from Ohio just shared this, and so this may be a confirmation as well. She said that a doctor told her when she was younger that she should marry a younger man because women generally live longer than men. So that way they would have many more years together rather than a lot of years being a widow. So I think that's very. Yeah, so there you go. So there's another confirmation there. Any words of wisdom for Anne, who is trying to cultivating this relationship with a gentleman who's 14 years younger? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, what I would say is when you go into a relationship, focus on God and what God wants. Because at one point in our relationship, we actually decided not to have any relations at all. when we started coming back to the church. And I really, when we had a discussion, I already told her that whatever God's calling me to, I'm going to do. Whether it's us being married or not, I don't know. And she'd had a hard time with that at the beginning, but she understood because we were both reaching for God at the same time, luckily for us. But eventually, just God put it on my heart. It's like, yes, she's for you and you're for her. And I ended up actually asking our priest first about our marriage before I asked her, and she was kind of surprised. But
Right.
you know, it's just keep your heart open, and then also to either option. Don't close the door in any of them. And if God wants it, God will lead you there. And even after we got married, it wasn't roses. We had some issues, but for us getting married, when I watched her walk down the aisle, I was fully aware of what I was doing at that moment. And that always brought me back, no matter what happened in our relationship, to that moment when I stood at the altar and I said my vows and I'd seen her walk down the aisle. That always kept me in the relationship despite all the hard times. And we've worked out stuff because that meant a lot to me to really adhere to those vows that I took. So take things seriously because words mean something.
Yeah. All right. So anyone who's listening right now, feeling like you want to be married, you're not yet, maybe thinking about someone, you've got a relationship at some level, dating, courting, whatever, listen to Eli and what he's saying. He's imparting some incredible words of wisdom here for us. So, Brother Eli, thank you so much. Blessings to you and your wife. And we so appreciate you joining us here today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
God bless you. Thank you guys for your ministry.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eli. And thanks for being a first-time caller. Don't be a stranger. So we'd love to hear from you again. And folks, that's open to everyone. Please email us if you have a story to share or you want to just get to know us better on at the Take Two family. It's take2@EWTN.com. Okay, moving along to Virginia. And Virginia is in Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Virginia. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. My parents were 10 years apart. My dad was 30 and my mother was 20 when they got married, and they had a successful marriage with a lot of up and downs. My husband is almost 7 years older than me, and when our oldest child wanted to start looking seriously for a wife, I asked, well, how old are the girls that you're dating? And he said 19. And I'm like, no, you got to go, in their 20s.
How old was he, Virginia, at that time? How old was he at that time?
27. He was
27.
27, dating 19. And so then he met a girl that was 29, and they married, so she's a little older than him. And they're still in the honeymoon stage, but they are very much meant for each other. I have a niece that married a man 10 years older. She was 22, and he was 32. And unfortunately, he died in a car accident, but he can't date anybody because she doesn't find somebody that, matches his maturity, his responsibility, his, just, they have much more to offer when they're older. I think they're more mature. They've learned from life, and they're ready to settle down in love. So I'm all for it.
Right. Well, Virginia, as you were speaking, I was reflecting on my own life and my husband's previous life. And it's interesting because my husband's former marriage, we're annulled and, now we're married sacramentally in the church. But my husband's former marriage, his wife was, I think, 8 years older than he was. And in my former marriage, my husband was almost 11 years older than I was. And I was telling Jerry yesterday, I found it to be really quite wonderful because I'm kind of an old soul and I grew up very fast. And so our maturity levels, I think, were kind of really compatible, even though he was 10 years older than I was. But he taught me so many things because he lived 10 years longer than I did at the time. And I met him when I was 18. And so he taught me all these things, like how to be a manager at a restaurant and how to do things that I didn't know. So it was really a wonderful journey. And it sounds like that's maybe what happened in the family trend in your family as well. Did you see that with like your mom and dad?
Oh yeah, definitely. They both had very strong, good sides, but they complemented each other.
Yeah.
He had a lot of experience, and she was very virtuous and patient with him because he thought it was his way or the highway. But because he was an orphan and he had lived a very rough life, and he was very protective, and she was very responsible and cautious and just patient with him. So he changed. He turned around. When they both passed away, my parents, and they, at the end of their marriage, they were solely united. They were one person,
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting how when there is an age gap, when you know people who are getting married and there's, say, 8, 10, 12, 15 years between them, there's almost this automatic, your mind automatically goes to the thought of, wow, there's so much difference between the two of them. And yet we're hearing, Debbie, in your situation, and Marty and Virginia and so many others, that it doesn't make that much of a difference. Maybe there would be some differences. For example, if, a 30-year-old married a 45-year-old woman and maybe she couldn't have kids or something, childbearing comes into this and certain things. But what we're hearing so far is very edifying and uplifting, and we hope that trend we know that trend is going to continue on the show today, I think.
Right. Well, thank you, Virginia. Thank you so very much for coming in strong and helping this conversation and to shape it, because a lot of people are listening and they're kind of taking notes and trying to digest all of this. So that really helps. Real life experiences from you. Thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful weekend. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia. Okay.
Where are we going next?
833-288-3986. Take two with Jerry and Debbie, talking about age disparity, age gaps within marriages between husbands and wives. And Bill is going to join us next from Cleveland, where he listens on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Bill. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Welcome.
Hey, Jerry and Debbie. It's good to talk to you. I always enjoy listening to you as I travel around for my job.
Thank you.
Thanks. 8 years ago, it's been 8 years this month, I've been married. My wife is 10 years younger than me. And so when we started to get to know each other, because it was long distance at first, she was out of state, and we started to talk one day, and she said, well, when's your birthday? And I said, it's October 17th. And there was this long pause on the phone, and I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, well, nothing. She said, let me tell you a story. She said, when I was in college, I got pregnant, and the baby was due on October 11th, which was her birthday. But she 11th, I will give the baby up for adoption. So it turned out that the baby was born on October 17th. So there's more to the story. So she said, then she got married, and she had 3 kids, and her husband died in his 40s of cancer. So her firstborn son, when she was married, was born on her birthday on October 11th. So it's just those little things, I think, that, when you're first getting to know somebody and you're like, this probably is a pretty strong sign, because I was married and annulled. Prior to that, had two sons who were
Bill, you're
that marriage really wasn't. That marriage really wasn't where it should have been. When I was first married, the first marriage that I had, and then I got annulled, and then, but I saw, through having that sign of the, just the initial thing, like God has a plan, for everybody out there, and that was just for me, just maybe not the only confirmation, but a first sign for me to say, look, maybe there's a plan for both of us together, because we're both practicing Catholics. That was very important to us. So knowing that, she had those prayers, God had a plan for her as well all along. And thankfully it included me. So, and it's just been good, from that point on, both, strong practicing Catholics. We try our best to do our part for her kids now, that I'm helping to raise, so it's just been a very good, a good match, even though, we're 10 years apart.
Right. Well, bless you, Bill, for that. That's kind of even a little bit above and beyond just marrying someone who has an age difference, taking on somebody else's children, which you've done, and a lot of people do that. And praise God for that, because kids need that kind of parenting, moms and dads in an ideal world. But there are a lot of single moms doing a great job, single dads as well. So thank you for that. And you had mentioned, you were from a distance when you first met each other, and I think my mind goes back, Debbie and Bill. I'd like your thoughts on this. It seems like, I don't know how far we have to go back for this, two or three generations, when a man and a woman kind of meet in church or in the community, in the town or something, or they were both in their 20s, maybe early 20s, married by 25, several kids by 35. Those kinds of dynamics really have changed a lot lately. People aren't getting married. We see that, Debbie, people aren't getting married at such a young age and so forth. So I think that the delay in people getting married might even actually play into a little bit this bit of a disparity in age. That's a thought that I had anyway.
Yeah. I think that there's a big part of that, and ironically enough, her first husband was 10 years older than her, and he passed, like I said, and his name was also Bill.
Oh wow! Wow.
So we always laugh about that one too.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, if you can you hang on, because you hear that music? We gotta hit the pause button. I just have something real quick I wanted to follow up on what you said. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie talking about age gaps in marriage. Stay with us.
Join us for highlights from the 2019 Atlanta Eucharistic Congress, featuring Steve Ray, Elizabeth Lev, and Father Mike Schmitz, tomorrow, noon Eastern, on EWTN Radio.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
The devil will always do his best to tempt you into sin until you get to that place where you love sin. That's what he wants. He wants you down there with him. And not because he loves you, he hates you. When you do what the enemy tempts you to do, he does it out of pure hatred.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I just finished talking with Dr. David Penault about his book, The Crucifix on Mecca's Front Porch, A Christian's Companion for the Study of Islam, published by Ignatius, available through our religious catalog. Tell us, what's this book about? Why did you write it, and who is it for?
This book is intended as an introduction for the general Christian reader to Islam, but written in such a way that what I hope is that studying Islam can actually serve to help readers strengthen their own faith as Christians in the process. There are radical differences between the two faiths, and approach this in such a way that, as I said, one can strengthen one's own faith as a Christian.
And the book is The Crucifix on Mecca's Front Porch, A Christian's Companion for the Study of Islam, published by Ignatius Press, available through our EWTN religious catalog, EWTNRC.com. This has been a Bookmark Brief. We thank you for stopping by.
I'm Gloria Purvis. The Morning Glory team dissects. I can do this because God wants me to be happy, right? Monday morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with
We're talking with Bill in Cleveland, Ohio, about marriage and the age gap in his particular marriage, which is working well for him. And it's just the beautiful, kind of signs or coincidences with the dates and the birthdays and everything. Very interesting, Bill. I just wanted to say real quickly, before I do that, let me just share. Right after you was going to be Lois in Texas, and Lois is a part of our Stand Tall family. And Lois, I know you're a super busy woman, but we wanted to hear your beautiful voice. So if you can, call back. And Charles, please put Lois at the front of the line, because she was going to be right after Bill. We want to hear her story. So Lois, if you're listening, please call back. Bill, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing up about being what we call in what it says in Scripture about being evenly yoked. And I just wanted to say this because there's one aspect that, with the age differences and our upbringing and things like that, but it is very important if we find that common ground in our spiritual lives. And I think that is really, it's vital to the life of the relationship and the marriage. And Bill, you shared that with you and your wife. I just wanted to say, referring back to my former marriage, I was married to a Jewish man, and there's wonderful aspects of that. To go deep into our Jewish roots, it is absolutely amazing to experience that. But it comes with great difficulty in the sense that Jesus kind of is the deal breaker, if you know what I mean. And it's really hard to get over that. And so I just wanted you to comment before we let you go, Bill, on that, just to stress to young folks who are pursuing relationships and hopefully marriage, that maybe they should be looking for that, even I would think more so than worrying about the age gap. What do you think, Bill?
Right. Yeah, I would say never overlook that, and don't compromise your faith as you look for a partner for life to marry, because I speak from experience, and I don't put that on my former wife. I put it on myself, that it's on me. I needed to do a better job initially when I first got married, and I didn't do that, and I compromised, and I paid the price for what I compromised. And now I have that perspective of being married to a woman who treasures her Catholic faith, who is very intelligent and wise when it comes to those things. And I see it carried out in the way she's raised her children, who are very respectful kids who honor the faith. And, it's not perfect. I mean, there's always things you have to try and struggle with when it comes to raising family of any type, whether it's a blended marriage or what have you. But I always and in the early, and that's just the last little piece, and I'll get off so other people get on. But I think the last little nugget that I would share is that when I first became remarried, I was 12 years after my annulment and divorce. As a single person, I got remarried, and it was an adjustment for me. And there was that time where like, oh, I can't believe this happened, or she said that, or she said this. But over time, you come to appreciate a person for who they are and what their faith is all about. And so whenever there's that little nagging doubt, when you get that self-talk and you're trying to defeat that, I just say, I just have a little saying in my head. I said, you know what? She's a good girl. She does things right. She lives her faith, and she's always consistent, and that helps me. And so I'm really grateful for that.
Wow. Good stuff, Bill. Thanks for really inspiring us all today. And as Debbie said, a lot of other people who are listening, especially to keep that faith element front and center, and something like an age difference or many other things, differences in hobbies or things you like to do or food or anything. Those can all fall into place a lot more easily as long as you have that faith characteristic there. So thank you so much, Bill, for calling. 833-288-3986. Debbie, you ask and you shall receive. Stand tall, Lois. By the way, those of you on the line, Catherine, Marcia, Linda, hang on. Lois dropped off. She would have been next, so we'll put her back in here because she called back in Texas. Hi, Lois. It's so good to have you back with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Welcome, Lois.
Hi, y'all. Sorry, my 91-year-old mom called, and I had to take the call. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's a good reason. Hi, Lois.
Hi, y'all. Good to hear your voices.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So Chuck and I are 18 years. He's 18 years my senior. Mm-hmm. And we met when I was 24 and he was 42. And we had an 8-year battle. We did all our fighting before we got married. But the biggest thing for him was our age difference. And he had been married twice before. And said he would never get married again. And I said he was going to be a lonely old man if he didn't marry the right woman, and that was me. I was convinced of that. And he finally came to his senses, and we celebrated our 30th anniversary in March this year. And I would do it all over again. And I was blessed. He was a very active and healthy guy. So our age difference was not an issue. Wasn't at all. Probably when he got to be 60, and then you guys know my story, but it became an issue, but come to find out he had the start of dementia. So I don't know what our life would be like if he hadn't gotten sick, but I still would do it again, you know. I'm blessed that we had as many years of a great marriage as we did. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we rejoice in that too, Lois, and we love you, and we thank you for your emails, and we're always with you in prayer for the intentions that you send over here, so please know that. And thanks for just being such a beautiful, loving member of the Take Two with Jerry and Debbie family. And sorry about, you know how sorry we are about Chuck, your husband, and you have obviously, you have been placed, or this added responsibility has been placed on your plate, so to speak, and you both know very, very well, obviously, till death do us part in sickness and in health. And one of the things I mentioned, Debbie, if you recall early in the show, is that one thing that can happen if there is a significant age gap in between a woman and a man, if one of them does start to get older, and sometimes some kinds of illnesses or diseases or ill health start to creep in there. So anyway, I've probably said all I can, Debbie. I know you probably have a lot that you would love to say to our dear friend Lois.
No, I just want to say, Lois, you are just you're just a hero of mine. I love your perspective on this. I mean, and what you have been given as an added, and you look at it in such a beautiful way of taking care of Chuck and what you can do for him during this time. And you know what? I just want to say, God knows who can handle it, who's the right person to step up. I mean, I'm not trying to say in any way, shape, or form that, you're 100% perfect or anything like that. You're human, but you have such a good frame of mind about this. And you've taught me so much because as you know, my mother has dementia. And I just want to say, I love the way you embrace things. And I just say more power to you. I pray the good Lord blesses you abundantly and gives you all that you need to get through all this. So anything else you want to share with all of us or all the listeners that are, kind of absorbing everything right now? They're kind of grasping little parts of your story. So if there's anything more you want to add.
So, age is just a number. I mean, it truly is. And as, other callers, they've lost a spouse at 40 or 50. So it doesn't matter. It's just, if it's the right person and they help you get to heaven and you can help them get to heaven, which is our whole purpose in being married, it shouldn't matter what your age difference is.
Right. Is there anything before we let you go you could share with spouses that are dealing with their loved one that is facing dementia or Parkinson's or one of these really, hard diseases that the ending is not going to be good? Is there anything you could share with all of us?
2, don't be too proud to ask for help and be open to the graces that God gives you and all those who are praying for you.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Yeah, well, Lois, knowing you as we do, not real well, but having spent a few days around you and getting to know you better through email and so forth as part of the show family, it doesn't surprise me that you kind of took the approach that you did with Chuck, when he was kind of resisting or balking at the idea of marriage early on, and you just said to him, I'm sure I can see you right now just saying, you got to marry someone who is a, super Catholic wife or whatever, and that person is me.
Yep.
I love it. That is well, you knew. That's not cockiness. That's just really
you're awesome.
Knowing that you had so many gifts to give, Lois, and you have done that. You have done that to us as well.
He had to give me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's not a one-way thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Can't wait to see you. We're going to still trying to plan another Stand Tall retreat in Texas. So
Look
hopefully,
forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks, Lois. Have a beautiful weekend. Wow.
Okay, let's see.
That was good. I was so glad to reconnect. Can I just say I'm sorry for laughing. I was kind of laughing at you, not with you, when you keep mentioning your the wedding you went to.
My nephew. Yeah.
Your nephew. I was just because that really made an impact on you, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, his dad, my brother, has not been doing anything with the faith for probably 40 years or more. He's a very, very upstanding man, very moral, conservative values and all of that, but, just has not been in the church. And to see his son come out of that, and they too had a divorce situation, and now each of his parents is married again, so there's a lot of dynamics there. And to see him, he's got that rosary and that scripture verse tattooed on his arm, and he and his bride, Allie, they just wanted to have a very reverent, Christ-centered wedding at the age of 23. At the age of 23, and I know it's not unique. A lot of that happens still, but at the same time, a lot of it doesn't happen that way. So,
did you got to read at the wedding, correct?
I did, yeah.
Did you use your radio voice or your normal voice, or is your normal voice your radio voice?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they videotaped it, but
I'm sure they did. Okay. All right.
I
that's
wanted
cool.
to,
Go ahead.
if I can go to social media just for a second. We got a lot of calls. We'll still get to you. Anna Marie said she's watching on EWTN Catholic Radio YouTube page. Hi, Anna Marie. She says, my husband is 10 years older than me. Well, he would say 9 years and 6 months, LOL. It was a very good thing because I had a lot of growing up to do, and it helped that my husband just came out of the military and was very together. He helped me grow up, really, and he was really great about not stressing out about everyday things. He would tell me life will always have bills and will always have problems. Don't call them problems. They are challenges or gifts that we receive. So what great perspective on Anne-Marie and her husband, too.
I love that. That was really good. Okay, we have 3 first-time callers coming up, so you all get the virtual first-time caller bell. So let's go back to Marcia, who is first-time caller also in Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Marcia. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Cool. So what's your story?
Well, let's see. I am 15 years older than my husband. When we met, he was 28. I believe I was 44. I had been married and divorced, and he was a blind date. My 17-year-old daughter went to work at his store, and she set us up as a date. And she never thought anything would materialize. She just wanted me to get out and start dating again. And we clicked the first night. The thing that put us together was our nationality. We're both Polish, and our religion. We're both Catholic. We grew up going to Catholic school. And we continued to date. The hurdles were the kids. I had 2 kids. He had never been married or had children. So here we've got a teenage girl that's closer in age to him than I am. But he was very good. He's very intelligent. He's very wise. He's a very old soul person. And we dated 7 years before we got married, so we would know that the kids and our relationship melded well together, which it did. And then we moved to Texas, and I'm retired. He is still working, which he wouldn't much like to retire, but he's got a little ways to go. And I'm keeping young. Jesus has been whispering in my ear, don't fold up on the couch and just watch Jerry Springer all day long. You've got to get up and stay young for your husband. So I'm training for the marathon right now, and hopefully I'll be able to run it next year here in Texas.
Oh, my goodness. Marcia, you could run circles around most people your age, it sounds like, or at least around laps of a marathon, which, of course, is run on city streets usually. But what a really beautiful story. And, going into this, it was just a blind date, which is just amazing. And you said it was your daughter who set this up for you, I believe you said?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. How I don't know how, you said you dated for quite a while, but was your daughter, anybody else, did they did she look at herself and go, wow, I set my mom up on a blind date, and now she's dating this guy, and then eventually they got married, I mean, was there any of that response from anybody?
No, not really. His mother coaxed him along saying, this may not be good because she's going to be a lot older than you, and she'll probably fall apart long before you will. But I guess it's not going to happen that way. and she actually turned out to be one of my best friends after we were married. And, of course, my husband is my best friend.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you, and an early congratulations on running the marathon. That is exciting. Please keep us posted. Please just send us an email. Let us maybe a picture you crossing the finish line at yeah, do it. You got to be thinking that way. You got to think the end goal there. Take 2 at EWTN.com. But I just wanted to say real quickly, I just want to go back to this, Marcia. I love the fact that you said, what drew you and your husband together is your your upbringing. You're both of Polish descent, Catholic, went to Catholic school. See, those things are very, they'll keep people together, I believe, at the beginning, and then you can just build on that. And I think that's my takeaway from this conversation today, is that we really, I mean, the idea is to get to heaven, folks. That's the idea, to get to heaven. So if you can find those common places that can help you on that path to holiness, on that path to get closer to God, I say, you know what, then it's really, hopefully it's blessed with lots of graces and everything goes well. And it sounds like it's doing that in your relationship, Marcia. We're just so thrilled for you. And I'm just still stuck on the marathon thing, because I used to run half marathons. I can't even imagine running a full marathon at this age, but way to go.
So much.
All right. Thank you, Marcia. Yeah, one other point you may have commented on this, Debbie. I was looking at an email or two that we might want to use, but
sure.
She mentioned how it's kept her young, and there's that. I would bet there's that dynamic in a majority of, say, older, younger married couples, that the younger one, or the older one rather, would look, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and just say, you know what, I want to be around. I want to enjoy this relationship and do the things we've been doing and so forth, unless something, God allows something, an illness or disease or something to happen. You have to believe that there's at least some element of that in there, that the younger person still being working, for example, and healthy and active and doing things keeps motivating. Sorry, you just said one word, but I couldn't say at all in about,
it's quite all right,
60 seconds.
When the two of us come together on this radio show, we make one full person.
We have a full brain and a full mouth. The full mouth that makes sense when there's two of us here. So.
Oh, maybe it does take two of us to do this show. We always say it doesn't take two of us. It's a second take, but maybe it does take two of us.
No, it takes the listeners. They're the ones who
that's right.
make us look good.
Yeah, that's right. We're riding on your coattails, our dear, wonderful Take Two family. Thank you so very much. Okay, are you going to read some emails, or do you want me to go to Linda? Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. It's Friday.
Well, actually, I was going to talk about Amazon Echo speakers for just a second.
Okay.
Because, I have I've had a Google Home Mini for a while at home. I don't have any of those ones that, well, actually, it can play Catholic radio, but there are some really more advanced, people know this already, these personal assistants. And the Amazon Echo, EWTN radio is available there. You can listen to EWTN radio just by saying, Alexa, ask EWTN to play Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Or, Alexa, ask EWTN to listen to the previous episode of whatever show you want to listen to. So it's really, really cool. If you're looking for one of those devices that will help you get EWTN programming, really just by voice command, that Amazon Echo is a good way to do that.
She's like Rosie from the Jetsons. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
I always wanted a robot that would do everything. Okay, Linda, first-time caller. In New Jersey. Oh, good pizza land. Sirius XM 130. Hi, Linda. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah,
just
perfectly.
Fine, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to share a little bit. Maybe it's from a different perspective. I've been hearing a lot of wonderful and upbeat things from the other callers. These are not downbeat, maybe just more, I don't know what, based in sacrament, perhaps, and thinking about the sacrament of matrimony and what the couple promise each other in the sacrament of matrimony, which is the sacrament they confer on each other, and agreeing that Jesus will also be present in the marriage. We all enter into relationships for lots of different reasons, and physical attraction is okay. Gratification, all those things are okay, but at the end of the day, we're in it for life, or that's what we agreed to do. So my thought is this: having been married to a man who was 14 years older than I was, and it was not a good marriage, and we are divorced. We married a long time though, and it's annulled. It's fine, but he was quick to remind at times that it's fine for him to be older and I to be younger, but that he would never have a problem finding another spouse. And that's not kind. It is emotionally abusive, but that was always out there as an underlying thing. And I think if we look at society today, people do accept that a younger woman will take up with a man who's significantly older if he's attractive, if he's well-positioned financially, if he's secure, if they just like him. whereas the reverse is very uncommon. And I have a friend now, a male friend, who is just about 15 years my junior. But at this stage in my life, I'm involved with somebody who's a devout Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic daily communicant. And we're looking at it a little bit differently. And we're talking about saying there are many kinds of love, and saying that one of the things about love and charity is willing the good of the other. And would I be willing his good to be married to him, being 15 years his senior, running into childbearing issues, and asking him to spend some of the prime years of his life, in all likelihood, becoming my caretaker? So I just wanted to say that those things were raised in the context of the sacrament, and that we decided that the best thing that we can do is continue to be very good friends, but not enter into the sacrament of matrimony. That's what I wanted to share.
Well, I have to tell you, Linda, thank you so much, because you really gave us all some very deep words of wisdom and experience from what you've been through, and it kind of wakes us all up and realize what's really important in marriage. And it makes me think of something I just wanted to share real quickly. I was in spiritual direction for many years, and my pastor used to send over parishioners that were in marriage preparation for some spiritual direction. So he would send them down the hall to my office, and I remember this young couple coming in, and I remember where they sat exactly. I sat across the desk. The young man sat to the left. I sat to the right. I mean, the fiance sat to the right, and she was crying. She was sobbing. And I said, "What is the matter, sweetheart?" And she said, "Well, just ask my fiance." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, I told your priest, I told the pastor, I said, if this doesn't work out, I'm divorcing her. If I wake up one day and I just don't like her anymore and she's not doing what I want, I'm leaving her." And I said, "Please get out of my office and stop this preparation right now. You need to never walk down that aisle, because you're going into it for the wrong reasons." And I just was really harsh on them. And she kind of was happy that I was, stating the obvious. He was very upset. He's like, "How dare you?" And I said, "No." I said, "You're going into this for the wrong reasons. You are not mature enough. You don't understand what marriage is all about. This is wrong. And I will not even spend 1 second with you guys, because you're just not taking this the right way." And they ended up getting counseling. They did not get married. I found out later they did not get married, but they got counseling. So I'm hoping he matured in his, but going back, Linda, to what you were saying. So you're saying it's very important we enter in, which I agree, for the right reasons, going down that aisle, especially in a sacramental marriage. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Yeah.
And I'll just add that, are you familiar with Focus at all?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've become a Focus facilitator, and so I get to, if you know something about that process, it's a required thing in our diocese, and you do get to, it's all computerized, and that bothers me a little bit, because marriage is not a computer thing, but it does pick up some points of disparity, not disagreement, but where you're apart and where you're close, and it's meant to be a predictor, and the points that come up the most frequently are ones that have to do with sexual attraction. Sadly, with pornography is okay. Internet pornography is okay. I don't have a problem with that. Those questions are on there. So I just say, when there's an age gap like that, it's a sad fact that we all age. And you can look in the mirror, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to age. Can your spouse, when he or she says, for better or for worse, envision that and mean that? Or are you looking at the now and everything will be great? All the callers, as I said, have been very upbeat. They've had wonderful stories. A woman that you apparently know is a heroine taking care of a husband who sadly has Alzheimer's. That can happen anytime. But the
Linda, I have to jump in here, Linda. Please forgive me. I apologize a billion times for that, Linda. You're going to hear that music here right about now. There it is. That gives us 1 minute, Linda. We have to be out by 1 minute. I apologize for that. And Roxanne and Carl and Esperanza was going to talk about age differences and the impact on children, Debbie. And so would have been nice to get to all of those calls. But that's a week of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Yeah, Jerry, this is why we're going to be doing the after show on a regular basis, so we can keep the conversation going. Thank you so much. You can always email us. Tell us your story. take2@EWTN.com. Don't forget to like us on Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. We got some pilgrimage updates coming to you by Facebook this afternoon. Very exciting, Jerry. Yeah, if you want to get on the list for information, email us, take2@EWTN.com. We'll give you all the details. Debbie and I and the show team hope that you have a beautiful and blessed weekend.
Dr. Ray Guarendi, making a commitment to the wives. When the show's on, put the radio under your husband's pillow. The percentage of yes dears will rise. The doctor is in next.
Morning Glory. It's Catholic from coast to coast.
They're pushing an agenda, and however they can get that agenda down our throats, forcing young people, as far as